to Pixels and Points. I'm Susie Brown, media buyer here at Redrock, and with me, as always, I have Matt Nelsen, our digital director. And we have a couple of articles to talk to you about today, most of them dealing with traditional media and some new things that are happening. First of all, one of the big things on everybody's mind is, it seems just across the country, are layoffs and employment. We've been hearing this a little bit around from different industries, but Scripps is having quite a bit of layoffs. So overall, company-wide, it's about several hundred. Scripps owns 61 stations in 41 markets. The most recent one that we have the article here about today is KGTV in San Diego. Laid off 20 staffers just recently, all from the news department. So mostly it seems like producers, photographers, some receptionists, but that's the latest. And it's interesting to see how some of these news companies are consolidating, cutting back. Is it a cost-saving measure?
It is. It's a cost-saving measure. There are even a lot of news companies I was reading about is they are going to use their like national weather service. Like they're getting rid of the local weather team, and it's just not the national weather service, but their national meteorology team is the ones that are going to be doing like the local weather for all the affiliates, right. And then they send that out, and then they just run that instead of having their local weather team.
They'll talk to the National Weather Center. Yeah, it's
a money saving thing. It's the problem is that when you actually have like severe weather in your area, when I was growing up, you'd always have that weather team that was just on the air for hours, yep. Like making sure everybody knew where the tornadoes were, where the hail was, where the this or that was happening. So I don't know how they're gonna do that with the national weather. I think that they might still like do some like live coverage, but it'll feel less localized. They'll be talking about different areas that are also getting hit hard, that are like the price stretch. Say for it was Texas, they'll probably, like if they were doing like the Austin area, they might also be talking about San Antonio, which will feel like it's less local,
right, like a central Texas.
Yeah, it's just something it's degrading the local news, which means that, in about 5 to 10 years, there'll be an opportunity for local news to come back. So
always ebbs and flows. But I think that's the local station's bread and butter, right? Like you're saying, is that relationship, especially with the local weatherman, right? Probably even more so than the anchors. So it'll be really interesting to see. One of the quotes they had put out was saying that, the news industry is in a state of continued disruption. But they're going to continue to provide essential services. So obviously emergency services are still there, but it's that local feel, right, that's going to be missing. Station will still be in business, but I think this is just what we're going to see across the board with a lot of stations, especially with ownership groups owning, right? Like you've got 61 stations, 41 markets. How much money would you save if, it's a one and done, throw that content out and everything's good to go. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens and also see where all these people end up, right? If a lot of local broadcast stations are letting staff go, that's a lot of good people, right? Are they going to move over to agency side? Are we going to see a lot of people moving over to the digital side?
I wouldn't, especially like the weather people, like, I don't know where you go. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I don't know. The other thing is that our second article kind of talks about the over-the-air TV having talking about the upgrade for ATSC 3.0. All of the major stations are wanting to push the adoption of the higher, the better system, the ATSC 3.0.
Right. So originally, and this, explain to me ATSC 3.0, because we were on 1.0.
We're on 1.0.
Right
2.0 kind of it came out, but it was kind of skipped. But 3.0 is just ATSC 3.0 by itself is a better system than 1.0. You can get more information out, more challenge. You can have more channels, better quality, higher frame rate, all that great stuff. The bad part about ATSC 3.0 that a lot of people don't like is that the stations can require some sort of DRM encryption. which means that you have to have your TV connected to the internet, basically logging in to get whatever that passcode for that day or that hour is to watch the content. That kind of falls in the face of, free TV over the air, being able to just turn on the TV without it connected to the internet. So there's kind of an internal fight between stations and between station groups about like how they should be going about doing this, because one, you can have better television going out in a better way, to where all those flat panels that people would have, the big giant antennas that people have, that you kind of have to have for ATSC 1.0.
Yeah, the old school rabbit ears.
With ATSC 3.0, you can actually kind of regress back to where it was with rabbit ears. Is you could have just rabbit ears. You could get like a supplementary antenna that like clips onto the back of your cell phone if your cell phone had the ATSC 3.0 tuner, and watch TV on your cell phone over the air. You don't need a big antenna to pick it up. So there's really great things about ATSC 3.0, but if a company locks down like their extra channels behind DRM, then people are upset about that. But the other thing is that companies may want to do that because it'll give them the opportunity to stream over the air Disney Plus and not have to pump it through the internet, through your internet provider. So if you are subscribed to Disney Plus and say you're out and about and you have your phone and you want to watch something on there, it would just need to have that like checkbox that yes, you are subscribed to Disney Plus, and it could send you the signal over the air,
and not running through your cell data, basically.
Yeah, you can just run it over. You'd get all the information you need over the air to your phone. So it's kind of like that. It's not like you're sending the signal back over ATSC 3.0. You're sending it over the internet, but you wouldn't need to be streaming, high 4K digital content over your 5G connection. You would just send it there and tell them that you're subscribed, and then they would send over whatever content you're subscribed to. That would work for Disney Plus, Paramount, Peacock, all that stuff. They can run over there. So that's why they're DRM locking some stuff. But I think for most of the main channels, it'll still be free. I just don't know what's going to happen to all those extra free channels that we're used to.
That show all the Andy Griffith show marathons, and a lot of Spanish language channels stations use that for, to run their Telemundo.
Yeah, so they have a bunch of extra digital channels. So it's going to be one of those things. Oh, but the article is about them wanting to push up the actual outlaying of making everybody switch over to ATSC 3.0 from ATSC 1, and then them just being able to cancel the ATSC 1, because for them to keep running ATSC 1, they have to like take up a large bandwidth of their signal to just say a completely different channel has to be completely ATSC 1. So then they would want to run more content. They have to run it all through the 3 or the 1, and so they want to get rid of the 1 so they can run more content out. So they're wanting to get it updated so that everybody would have to switch over by 2028. But the big issue on that is that, I think the article actually only says like at max only 11% of TV households in the US have an ATSC 3 tuner in their TV. Whether it's in their TV or in their they have like a little tuner box or something, there's only about 10%. And I mean, I can attest to that. A TV that I had outside just broke after a couple of years. I went to go buy a new one. New TV doesn't have the ATSC 3 tuner. So it's not in every TV. No, it's not in every TV yet. So when you buy a TV, if you want it to be future proof, you need to look for that ATSC 3 tuner. Plus, you'll be able to watch a bunch of extra programming. But the next time I buy a new TV inside, I'll make sure that it has the ATSC 3, because
after this conversation, me too. So really, what
house has the 3.0 tuner in it yet.
So when you think about it, it's not really that the free access is ending. It's that most Americans don't have the equipment needed at this moment to get access.
Yeah, and if you remember back in the day, there was a whole government rebate to buy your new box so you can convert it over. I still have one of those. I have a converter box, and now it's a collector's item, I guess, because it's not going to be able to work on anything. But yeah, I got one of those free boxes back in the day. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing. If they do it 2028, that does give us, 3+ years to, or 3-ish years to get it done. So, I mean,
It's just evolving technology, so it makes sense. There's always growing pains, but I guess my big question is, well, when are we going to have to switch again? When is ATSC 4 coming out, and what's on the horizon, right? Or is it always just a constant keeping up with technology?
Yeah, we have to everybody has to adopt the 3.0 first, I think, for them to move it over to 4. But I think 3.0 has a lot more room extra to grow, so I don't think that they're ready to move over to another version. I knew it was 5-10 years before they just started deciding they needed to switch to 3 from 1. So it's been a little bit. Yeah, I think the biggest problem is just making it cheaper. So making the software and the licensing cheaper so that televisions can get it in to their system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things may be that we might see some extra stations pop up if they can actually make that cheaper. See some extra like local stations. Like there's going to be an opportunity in 5 years that you may just have like a station that's just local programming, like I don't know,
yeah, high school sports or something like that. Yeah.
Or like in our area, we have a newspaper called the Community Impact. I could see them having the news, like a 24-hour news station running television running on TV, going through like their content and having some people, kind of like the Time Warner has its kind of a thing on cable.
Yep. The Spectrum News.
Kind of local news and weather that's just streaming all the time on ATSC 3.
And it makes sense, just like we were talking about before, that we're kind of losing that local feel with the broadcast stations. So I think all in all, our theme today is how are the broadcast stations saving money and how different ways they're looking to save money.
Because they can make more money if more people subscribe to this ATSC 3.0. So that's why they're pushing. They're just going to have a few years of hardness, and then it'll hopefully come back a little.
All out. And by then I'll have all my new TVs with ATSC 3.0. I'll be good to go.
I don't know. Most people don't switch TVs too often anymore. I mean, everybody's bought their fancy HD television and they just don't see the reason to buy a new one until the old one breaks. So I don't know. Hopefully in 3 years, things will be a little bit more and people will adapt it a little bit more. But I have a feeling we may need another government bailout. Everybody get a box.
Yep. That's the next thing. Everyone's going to get their box and we'll all have new equipment. All right.
Yep.
Well, good to talk to you today. Going over some broadcast things. We'll be back in a couple weeks and we'll have some more topics to cover.
Yep.
See y'all next time.